So at this point, we acquired in-depth knowledge about the two basic approaches that can be utilized in the field of research. So it could be either inductive or deductive approaches, in which we can have holistic or analytical research. So for now, we will now proceed to the next category of our topic with regards to the kinds of research. So we have the next one, kinds of research according to scope. And did you know that we have only one example under this classification? So this kind of research according to scope, we have an example which is action research. Action research nowadays is very common in the field of education. Teachers, school heads, principals, even supervisors and superintendents, they are required to conduct an action research. So usually, this kind of research is conducted. It is conducted in the field of education nowadays. Okay? So, in order to elaborate further the concept behind action research, to figure out how does it differ from the other kinds of researches that we have from the beginning, let's have an example of an action research. So, of course, as an action research, we know very well that we have research study so that we can solve existing problems, right? So for instance, the main problem of the researcher here is that nowadays many learners encountered such struggles during the conduct of distance learning. Most of the time, students acquired difficulty, okay, in conceptual understanding in a specific subject. So again, based from that statement, what is the problem that was identified by the researcher? So the problem here is that we have difficulty in conceptual understanding. In other words, learners encountered difficulty when it comes to learning a particular subject, for instance. Thus, the main problem encountered by the researcher here is that many students nowadays encounter difficulties in conceptual understanding of a particular topic in a certain subject. Okay? So, in this case, the specific topic that was used by the researcher is the topic about cell biology, in which the respondents are the grade 11 students enrolled in STEM strand of the academic track for senior high school. So notice that one of the difficult subjects as perceived by many students is cell biology, simply because the nature of cell biology is that there are some instances that it is too abstract. Whenever we say that the nature of the subject is too abstract, it means that some of the topics there cannot be visualized directly by our naked eyes. For instance, you want to study the concept of cell. So on the part of the learners, it is difficult to understand the concept of cell because cells cannot be seen. It cannot be observed directly through the use of our naked eyes. We need microscopes in order to visualize the concept behind cell. And we know very well that microscopes are not available among the respective houses of our students, right? So, we have such difficulty when it comes to learning biology because it is too abstract in nature. It is difficult to learn a particular subject that cannot be observed directly by our sense of sight. It is very difficult to imagine on the part of the learners. Thus, if there is a problem, there should have a solution. So the researcher here, who is a teacher in cell biology, implemented an intervention. This intervention will serve as the solution to the problem in order to enhance the conceptual understanding among the students when it comes to cell biology. And the intervention, which is the solution in order to help our learners to understand the concept of biology, is through the use of video instructions. Notice that the teacher here created and designed several video instructions. And these video instructions are considered to be interactive, okay, on the part of the learners. Interactive. Why interactive? Because it is the combination of different elements like text, illustrations. Also, you have the audio, including music background. Of course, other information with regards to cell biology. It is a combination of the elements of audio visual components. Thus, it is very easy to understand on the part of the learners through the use of video instruction. Okay? So, through the use of video lessons, so we can help our learners in order to understand this topic. Okay? So, going back to the context of action research, this is an example of an action research. Remember, in terms of scope, let's try to review the example. The scope is that among the high school students, the only respondents here are the grade 11 students. So among grade 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 learners, the only respondent for this action research will be the grade 11 students only. The next, we know very well that we have first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, and fourth quarter. But the study was actually conducted only during the entire first grading period. Moreover, we know that the scope here is science, but we know very well that science is a broad subject. But during the conduct of research, instead of using chemistry, physics, earth science, and other fields of sciences like technology and ICT, the only focus of action research here is the subject General Biology 1. Because in General Biology 1, we have the topic about cell biology, which is the main concern of the said study. Lastly, schools within DepEd Quezon, there are several schools or institutions, both in the private and public sectors, within the Department of Education in Quezon Province. But this study was only conducted at Quezon Science High School. So, take a look with the scope of action research. So, the main concern will be grade 11 only, during the first grading period only, General Biology 1 and Quezon Science High School, for instance. So, how will you describe the scope of this action research? Is it limited or not? So, obviously, the scope is limited, right? So, meaning to say, our research is classified as an action research if the scope is limited only to specific components. Grade 11, first grading period, General Biology 1, Quezon Science High School. Notice that the scope is too limited. It is not broad. Moreover, the main objective of action research is to solve an existing problem in a very limited scope. So that is action research. Okay? So therefore, the researcher formulated this study entitled Designing Context-Based Video Instruction in Enhancing the Conceptual Understanding of Grade 11 Students in Cell Biology. So this is the title of an action research. To reiterate once more, a research is classified under action research if it aims to solve a problem. The problem there is difficulty in conceptual understanding in cell biology. And what is the solution? The solution is the use of context-based video instruction. So this is the solution And then conceptual understanding is the main problem. Therefore, you figured out that in formulating your title for your research, you should specify the solution as well as the problem. And actually, these components, solution and problem, will serve as your main variables. So again, action research is a kind of research in which its aim is to solve an existing problem, but in a limited scope. Okay? So action research and directive research, if you can still recall, have the same purpose. Both action research and directive research aims to solve a particular problem. However, in terms of scope, they are really different. Directive research is a broader one. Imagine our example here last time is about the marine life destruction. And the concept of marine life destruction is too broad because we know very well worldwide we have several examples of habitats and ecosystems within the concept of marine life. Unlike in action research, its scope is too limited. We have grade 11 students only of Quezon Science High School, for example, and then the scope is all about cell biology. It does not cover the other fields of sciences, and that is the main content of action research. So, to give you the summary of this concept, in action research, it is done on a very limited scope to solve a particular problem. So, the problem here is the difficulty in conceptual understanding in cell biology, which is not so big. And take note, action research, it is almost problem solving. So, its aim is to solve an existing problem usually encountered in the field of education, and that is action research.